My first federal win was a lawnmower, and we shipped it to Guam, of all places. It was crazy. My biggest contract was the Pearl Harbor Memorial bought a lawnmower system from us in Hawaii, and they're large businesses and they can't sell because they don't meet the small business set aside. I was managing a store and doing this on the side, some late nights. I took some vacation days to go deliver products.
Were you or your son farmers?
No, never.
Craig, I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm glad to be here, Kizzy.
Yes. Coming to us live from Texas.
Fort Worth, Texas, yes.
Fort Worth, Texas. Talk about government contracting. How did you get into this space of government contracting?
Okay, so I was in transportation for almost 30 years, a couple different companies. That was my background. My son actually started the company that I worked for in 2010. He had been in the lawn and landscape business since he was about 15. And he bought the people that he worked for were quitting, and they said, "Hey, you want to buy the company?" And he got a small loan, bought the company when he was like 21 or something like that. And he tried to get me to work for him for several years doing outside sales and stuff like that. And I was like, "No, I'm good. I work for FedEx. I'm okay. I've got retirement and, all that stuff." And 2017, he finally convinced me to do it. And I did outside sales, commercial, municipalities, all that stuff for several years. And another guy was working for us at that time. He actually got everything set up with Sam.Gov and all that stuff. And we were kind of, doing it part-time. And I was managing a store actually and doing this on the side, as this is a separate business from the other companies, that he has. Well, now we have 5 locations in Fort Worth, Dallas, the brick and mortar stores. And then this morphed into a full-time position about a year and a half ago. And he said, "Do you want to run it?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." And so that's how I'm in it. I have my own company aside from this too, but I do this full-time.
And how did you manage all of this?
It was not easy, a lot of late nights because I'm at the store managing during the day for 8 or 10 hours, and then come home, eat dinner, get on, check Sam.Gov and check all the, stuff we had out, and then writing bids and putting all that stuff together in the evenings, some late nights, submitting proposals or bids at 1 a.m., when the deadline is 6 a.m. the next morning, So it was straight up. There was a while there I wasn't even able to do a lot of it because it was just too much. And then, we had some good contracts, some good bids. That's how I started get to full-time now. So it was a struggle for a while.
Yeah, which is common.
It is, yeah.
Because there's oodles of options. Then you win something, then you got to make sure that's taken care of.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I had to do a lot because he's like, "How are you going to deliver it?" I was like, "Well, we'll get it done." And so I took some vacation days to go deliver products to customers. And then we did have another associate that works for us. He was managing a lot of the commercial accounts at the same time. It was kind of slow at that time. So he did some deliveries for us and, just trying to put all the pieces together to make it work, and I know the videos that you've done, who you've interviewed, I see it's a struggle because a lot of those people have been working full-time jobs at the same time. So government contracting it's definitely not for the faint of heart, for sure.
Right. I agree with that. I agree because I firmly believe it's easy to win. However, to consistently win and to do what it takes to win and to deliver, it isn't for the faint of heart. People find out a lot when they have to deliver.
Yeah.
And you said the first delivery, you talked about products. What kind of products?
Our niche is kind of mostly lawn and garden, tractors, lawnmowers, farm equipment type stuff like that. Actually, the first contract that we got when we started this was with the state of Texas. It was the TxDOT. They bought some side-by-side UTVs from us several years ago, but that was our first official government win, and I was excited. And we've had a lot of Texas contracts, state of Texas contracts too. And then my first federal win was a lawnmower, and we shipped it to Guam, of all places.
Wow.
Yeah. The War in the Pacific Memorial and on the island of Guam. That was our first federal win. It was crazy. That was a lot of work went into that, but it was fun. We actually won. My biggest contract was the Pearl Harbor Memorial bought a lawnmower system from us. That was amazing. That was a lot of work. Did some teaming with a business in Hawaii to get that delivered. And then I was able to go to, we went to Hawaii in February of this year, me and my wife and my son. And that was my first time to go to the memorial. And I was looking for that lawnmower everywhere. I figured I was going to see it somewhere, but I never did see it. But obviously it was a weekend. They weren't working, so it was cool to tell a story about, hey, we won the contract that the memorial is using to mow the grass at the Pearl Harbor National Memorial. That was a really cool feeling, to know that happened.
That's powerful.
It was really powerful. Looking for stuff like that.
No more it'll come up. Were you or your son farmers?
No, never. None of us grew up in the farming industry. Like I said, the company that he worked for was a small engine repair shop. It was a really small mom and pop shop kind of, and then that's how he got into that. He could really repair anything. And so it kind of morphed into repair shop and then taking on extra lines. The manufacturers for the major brands, after a while, they start coming to you. You get a salesman or one of the factory reps will come and he'll say, hey, would you guys like to sell this brand? Stuff goes on floor plans and you have to, have lines of credit and all that stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And it's something you have to work up to,
Right.
if you don't have an investor backing you. So that's how we got into that line of.
Often some of the vendors are like, no, we don't want to sell to you. We already have somebody to sell to. So how is it that you got them to want you to sell their products?
Most of the products that we sell, we're able to I'll just contact the rep, and tell him what I need. And he'll say, yeah, no problem. Actually, a lot of the products that we sell, some of those products are on like mass contracts, GSA contracts. The large manufacturers have their own contracts with the government. And so, but they're not small business. So,
And you guys are a small business.
Yeah.
Right. So then that's beautiful because then they need to go through you.
Exactly. So some of the stuff they can't sell to the agencies, National Park Service, whatever, that needs mowers and tractors, stuff like that. And they're large businesses and they can't sell because they don't meet the small business set aside.
But then it's great because the agency is still getting the mower. They're just getting it through you.
Exactly. That's correct.
What have you found in this space as far as what's needed to continue doing it? Because I find a lot of the government spaces, lawn maintenance, lawn stuff, janitorial, HVAC. I mean, when I first started out in this space over 10 years ago, I never heard about these areas. And it just seems like this is where people start. But how is it that you continue? I understand, your son bought the business and things of that nature, but how is it that you're in it and you keep growing it in the federal space?
So I've discovered that through a couple other people and you and a couple other people that I've been watching. And it's kind of been a trial and error for me as well, because that's my wheelhouse. So I get to do it. So I've found that I can just go and look up, the main thing I look at is forecasting. Go to the forecasting portion. I forgot the name of it now, but you know what I'm talking about. So they'll put out the forecast. I'll just send the contracting officer an email, give them a call, whatever, and look, see, you guys are looking for this particular piece of equipment. And that kind of helps me put stuff in my sales pipeline to be able to keep it going, because if I just get on Sam.Gov and look, because it's not loaded with a lot of opportunities in that space, but there are some, in the fourth quarter, obviously there's a lot of them on there then, but third and fourth quarter, but I'll go into FPDS, look for, put our NAICS code in and see what they've sold to those agencies, send the contracting officers emails, the specialists, and you just have to stay on top of all that kind of, because they don't really drop in your lap too much. So
yes, they don't. And it's good to be creative, going on acquisition.gov or any agent's forecast. I love that, reaching out to the point of contacts, or at least seeing what they purchase on FPDS, as well as just being proactive. In the very beginning, that's how we won a lot of our work, was dialing for dollars, being proactive. But you also mentioned Sam.Gov, like going through it, bidding on it. How has that been for you?
That was a learning curve for sure, getting used to doing that. And then once you learn how to put in your search criteria, and I've got them saved. I have advanced searches and they're already saved. So every day when I go on there, I just automatically go to it because you don't really get email notifications, through that. Now you do get, say it.
I know it's
You,
I'm sorry to laugh. It's terrible. I mean,
it's terrible. Yeah.
disrespect federal government. I love you. You're the best, but
But
goodness gracious, it does not work.
so if you go in, so what I've done, I go in and I put in the NAICS code, and ours, the main one is 333112. And that's a manufacturing NAICS code that covers a lot of stuff. All those products and there's a couple others we use, but that's the main one. So I just gone into Sam.Gov and type that in, and that's my saved search for every day. Then all I have to do is go in and check my saved searches every day. If there's nothing there, then I can go back to the other portions and look through that stuff as well. State Department, I do look at, I have bid on state departments. I haven't won any state departments, but I have bid on several of those. They do use a little bit of power tools and things like that in some of the embassies, consulates, and the missions around the world. So now that's a little bit of a different thing because you have import stuff you have to take care of. So, and some of it actually ships to an address that they have set up. There's one in New Jersey. A lot of it ships to New Jersey. And so they take care of all the import or the export stuff. So you just have to ship it to that address that they already have set up, and they take care of all the rest of that, of the other end of it. So I haven't won one of those yet, but I'm still bidding them. So.
Oh, you will. I would say definitely by the time of this airs, you're going to be close to it. And that's really good to know because there's a lot of those on Unison where
There's a lot, yeah.
HVAC for a embassy in Cuba was posted. But it's good to know that you don't have to worry about shipping.
You were speaking of the Havana, that it was just on there like, okay. So I have a contact and actually did submit a bid for that, for the HVAC. There's no installation, so there's no contracting work per se involved, construction. It's just delivering the product. So I did submit a bid on that.
Good. I didn't. I just find it so intriguing, and it's good to know that, you did that. And you had mentioned earlier, this is a situation for many, especially those just starting out. You talked about the funding, getting a line of credit, and how have you all handled that? Because I imagine the business has grown over the years. How have you handled being able to get those line of credit or find funding to cover the products and all of the things out there that you're selling to the government? Different agencies?
We have a lot of our stuff actually is, we have the floor plan advantage of having stuff in stock already. And so we get to make payments, on the floor plan products we already have in stock. We do have a bank that we use, our local bank. I have a real good relationship with those guys. And we have had to go to the bank and say, hey, we need this X amount, or whatever. There's we've got a good relationship with those guys. So it's really not a problem for us to get a small loan from them, and they'll give us terms on the loans to pay it back. And so in that respect, we're kind of lucky because a lot of people that are doing it, I don't have that ability on my business to get,
Right.
So, but as far as that goes, we're kind of lucky because we kind of have that ability to go to the local bank or whatever. And plus we make payments on the floor plan stuff with our manufacturers. So that kind of helps us in a little bit of ways that some people don't have as far as getting funding. So,
and also many may not realize that you can acquire a business and get into government contract.
Sure.
You don't have to start out on your own and open a sole proprietor. And it doesn't have to be a business where you're spending hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. It could be any size business, and taking that, which then may help with getting lines of credit, especially given the history of the business that one's acquiring.
Yes, that's true. You could get into that way and get into it by acquiring a small business for sure. We actually had a friend that he is in some local contracting with his county and stuff like that. He does some of that. He just signed a pretty lucrative deal, and they're going to franchise his business. And so they're going to have 20 locations in the South. And he's been in it for quite a while, but it's just crazy how that's taken off for him. He's really lucky in that respect. So.
And what line of business is he in?
The same products. Yep, lawn and garden, tractors, stuff like that. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah. The DFW market for that type of business is like the second largest market in the United States.
Is the first out of Florida, or is it still Texas?
It is Florida. Yeah. Florida, Texas, Florida, DFW, and then Los Angeles would be the third one. Or Southern California area.
And that's really good to know because there's lawn maintenance opportunities all over, and one doesn't have to be registered in Florida or Texas. They can sub, they can different things. So there's a lot to pursue. What is the one thing as you've been going through this, the one big takeaway that you're like, man, I wish I knew this when you were first kind of like, okay, I'm going to get involved in this?
The way that you feel when you lose one, when you don't win it, it kind of hits you. And you know what I'm saying? I don't know the exact word to say, but that's my takeaway from it. Kind of hurts when you lose them. And it's like, okay, what was my mistakes? I got to fix those mistakes and then, make it better the next time.
Yeah, definitely, especially if it's one you've had or you think. Like the ones that get me are the ones where I'm like, okay, we won, we're gonna win. And then I'm like, what do you mean we didn't win? And then I'm a little devastated.
Yeah, I just lost one that I knew I had in the bag. And there was a technical thing that I was bidding the exact model that they wanted. And so come to find out that model is being discontinued, but they were still, and I even got them to look at it. I even sent the contracting officer an email and told them what was going on. And they said, okay. And so they amended it, but they still chose the one that they wanted and not the one that was replacing it. So it was kind of disappointing that I could have, so they had their mind made up already that that's what they were going to do. So it just kind of hurt a little bit.
But the good thing is that you can request a debrief, you can reach out. That's one thing I love about this space. Unlike if you're selling to like a Pepsi or a Coke, they're not going to give you feedback on what you did or didn't do right or wrong. That's the beautiful part.
Yeah, and I found out with the debrief that's how what happened. So, and they were cordial and everything and told me what it was. So what do? You just have to go on and say, okay, lesson learned. Don't make that mistake again. So.
And are there any other areas that you're looking to pursue or bid on as the company continues growing?
Being in this business, we have a lot of contacts with maintenance people or maintenance contractors, so that's our next step is to get into the maintenance contracts, monthly maintenance contracts, because we have a pretty good idea of what it takes to get a maintenance contract done on a landscaping opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Just from being in the business for so many years, we kind of know what that takes. So that's our next step is to get into the landscaping contracts for the different government facilities around the, national, state, local, whatever.
Oh, that's good.
So the maintenance contracts is our next step.
Well, we'll have to have you come back as you grow that line of business.
Well, sure. Love to give you an update on that.
Yes, I would love that, Craig.
I think maybe, the GSA contract thing, where they're going to have to switch everything to GSA contracting. I don't know how that's going to affect us. I know it probably has already because I don't see as many of them as I used to. So we are looking at probably trying to get on one of those mass contracts on the GSA schedule. So I know that's a lot of work, but it's worth it in the long run. Now they don't drop in your lap. You still have to work for it, but
Yeah, get as many of the sins or Clint, whatever get as many as you can on those contracts, but definitely do that.
I think it'll really help our business a lot.
Yeah, it definitely will.
And I was always under the impression that, and of course I found out now that it's not, that GSA was I thought it was the lowest price, but it's not. It's not. Because I just sent a bid today. It's federal. I used GSA pricing on it because I went and searched that product I was looking for, and it's sold on a GSA contract. It's one of the big mowers that we have, and so I use GSA pricing on it. So
that's a good
way to do it. Yeah. I'm still going to make a good profit on it,
And how can people reach out? Because I know they're going to reach out. There's going to be so many questions, so many people that want to learn more. What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I'm on LinkedIn pretty heavily, so I can, and then that's probably the best because I'm on there a lot. For them to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn. Actually, I manage the store location profile as well, but they can get in touch with me on LinkedIn.
So reach out, y'all. Reach out on LinkedIn. Make sure you're on LinkedIn. It's not just for looking for a job.
No, it's definitely not in this space. It's not. And I've had a lot of success with LinkedIn with contracting officers following them, and they'll follow me back. And I actually had a couple of conversations on there with contracting officers too. So that has helped immensely.
Please take advantage, y'all. Please take advantage.
Yeah. Take advantage of that.
And Comment below. I would love to know y'all's biggest takeaway from this interview with Craig, because I love this. It's so tremendous, and I could go on and on, but that's not why y'all are here. So again, thank you so much, Craig, for being here. Please connect with him.
You're welcome, Kizzy.
Oh, anytime. We're gonna talk some more.
Sure. I'm up for it. Looking forward to it.
Yes, I love it. So please connect with Craig. Don't forget, y'all, like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and everything is possible. So until next time, take care.